I just think chickens are inherently funny creatures, and I just want, as a human being, to be quite cruel to them. When I was a baby, I was left at the end of my garden, and behind the garden there was a chicken farm, so I famously clucked rather than spoke as a child, and I think that brought up my deep hatred for chickens.
Peter Molyneux may have a hatred of chickens, but definitely has a love for video games. With over 4 decades of development under his belt, chances are that you've played one of the many games he's responsible for. Theme Park, Dungeon Keeper, Black and White, all 3 Fables, and now with Masters of Albion, he's putting all of that experience into his latest big project.
I never want to stop making games, but I have to be a realist. You know, I'm 65, my lifestyle sucks. I overeat, I still smoke, drink alcohol. I can't go on like that, so, you know, something's gonna happen. You know, I really want to make one more game, one more epic game. And what should that be?
Masters of Albion is a god game, which is hardly surprising seeing as it's coming from practically the godfather of the genre. Part city builder, part RPG, part third-person action, it looks set to combine some of the most memorable aspects of Molyneux's vast library.
So I went back and I looked at Dungeon Keeper and came up with a list of things that I loved from Dungeon Keeper. I looked at Black and White and came up with a list of things that I loved from Black and White, and I looked at Fable and came up with a list of things that I loved from Fable. And I asked myself, well, can I blend all these things together and create a god game?
But what is a god game? The definition can vary depending on who you speak to. One thing is at the very core of the genre to Molyneux, however, the freedom to play how you want to.
For me, a god game should be about giving the player freedom and the sense of power. And power turns out not just to be about destroying things and blowing things up. Power is equally about creating things and lots of choices and lots of consequences. So what Masters of Albion is an open world god game. An open world god game where you're free to approach the problems that the narrative and the story throw up against you in any way you want. And that freedom within that story, I think, makes the game pretty unique. I think my realization after, all these years is I don't want to create a game which forces you, the gamer, to be a certain sort of player. I want you to think, well, I'm not interested in God mode. I'm interested in possession mode. I'm interested in fighting. I'm interested in creating the armor and the weapons that my hero is going to use in possession mode. That's fine, and you can play the majority of the game in that third-person view, which is fantastically exciting. And where I find the game really interesting is when you combine God mode and third-person mode. And so you can get, in possession mode, you can get your hero to a certain location. You can release your hero, he'll hopefully intelligently do what you want to do while you support him in God mode. That's the Fable side of the game, the exploration. There's a huge leveling up tech tree for your hero and your god powers, and there's hundreds of elements to that tech tree. Then you've got the city building element. Yeah, I've had city building games and I love city building games. I love playing city building games, but I get frustrated when I have to put this building in this spot. Well, now it's completely up to you, the player. You can design whatever building you want, and these buildings have functions. So you can make buildings that's a farm and a mill and a factory and a pub and an inn and a housing block, and it can be one monstrous building. But be careful, the more you put things together, the more you stress those buildings, the more pollution they cause, and the whole landscape will morph to reflect the pollution you've got. So there is a complete city building game in there, and because we've got this very simple mechanic where by day everything's peaceful, you can explore, you can plan, you can build, you can create, and then by night everything will attack everything you own, and you can own more than one of these villages. So you can, you can build turrets and castles and you can defend your town like that, or you can level up your hero. I really want people to play this game in their way.
Masters of Albion is shaping up to be the greatest hits of Molyneux's work so far, a magnum opus of sorts that looks at what made each game shine so brightly, and reinvents those ideas for the present day.
So in Dungeon Keeper, I loved the hand, I loved being able to pick things up, I loved being able to possess things, but it didn't feel like they comfortably lived together. Especially the possession mode. But what I really loved was building something and then something coming and attacking the thing I built. So what I decided to take is possession mode, but take it in a way that improves and enhances it, makes it meaningful and deep. The rhythm of building and being attacked, and the ability to interact with different characters in different ways, as well as building. In Masters of Albion, possession enables you to play the game rather like the Fable combat system. So when you're in possession mode, you can use magic and you can use fighting. You can blend the two styles together. And crucially, when you're in possession mode, you can possess almost anything. You can possess a chicken, of course. Then we come to black and white. I loved the hand. I think that was a real improvement from the Dungeon Keeper hand. I love the freedom to be able to pick things up and throw things, even though in black and white the physics system wasn't really robust as it should have been. So throwing often felt clumsy and a little bit clunky, but in today's world we've got the tech that allows us to do that. I loved the open world feel of it. I could go over here and do something here, or I could go over here and do something here. And I loved the minimalist interface. Those are my big three features. I think we can do a lot more with the hand. I think the hand can be a lot more than just picking things up. I think we can enhance it. We can make people feel really powerful with the hand, and we can make people feel creative. And then we've got Fable, the narrative line, the epic story. I definitely love that. I definitely want to be inspired by that. The way that Fable laid out its story in this golden line, that everybody experienced certain points in that golden line, but how they got between those points was maybe a little bit different. I think we could take that and we can really enhance that and make that even more meaningful. I loved the humour. I adored the humour. I loved everyone called it British humour, but it was more humour invented by the player as much as it was by that. So we're going to take the narrative, we're going to take the tech tree, the experience tree, we're going to take the open world of Fable 2 and Fable 3 and the grand scale of the narrative. And in exploring this vast land of Albion, is inspired by Fable, which was inspired by Old England, there are many, many places to explore. It's an interesting universe that Fable touched upon, and really, I think Albion in Masters of Albion extends and expands that, but it's not actually, Fable 5 or anything like that. But if you played Fable, then definitely Masters of Albion will be familiar to you.
But what of Albion itself? Ever since its acquisition of Molyneux's Lionhead Studios in 2006, Fable and its fairy tale setting have belonged to Microsoft. So should Molyneux be concerned about this potential copyright issue?
I don't know. If I'm honest, I don't really know. I hope so. I mean, you would think that of the responsible person I should be, I would have spent the last 6 months in lawyers' offices, but it's like saying if you set a game in America, you can't set any other game in America. So Albion can't be copyrighted because it's the name for England and Wales, and that's how we get away with it.
The road to Masters of Albion's completion is a long one yet then, but it's a promising one, and could signal a return to form for one of game's most prolific developers. Hopefully we'll find out more, and to what extent we're able to terrorise its population of chickens soon. For more on Masters of Albion, check out the reveal trailer, and for everything else, stick with IGN.